Oh, but Darlene and I got together during that time. Got married, and I went, and I got drafted and went to Germany, and that's where April was born, over in Germany.
That's what happened. You were drafted then.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody got the
Spent 19 months in Germany.
I'd rather be in Germany than
Yeah.
yeah.
It was every other class. I was a medic. I went to Fort Sam Houston for my medic training, and
You're a medic.
one class would go to Vietnam and one would go to Germany, and I was stationed at a field hospital in Germany.
And how long were you in the military then?
It was 3 years.
3 years. Wow. And so, did Darlene go with you to Germany, or
One of those years.
1 year?
After I was over there, and she is deathly afraid of flying, but she got up.
Well, then the plane almost crashed when we were going to go over there.
She got up the nerve to get a ticket to come over, and when they were taxiing in Newark, the plane blew a tire.
In
they
the front,
had to
the
all
little tires.
get off and taxi back, and they were taxiing back in, it blew another tire. And it took all she had to get on that plane to come to Germany.
Well, I was in.
And if she could have found a way back from Germany, boat,
No, I said the boat took too long. I drowned anyway.
But she got on the flight back, and that's the last time she's ever flown.
Oh, my brother, he one time he usually has a small engine plane. He's passed away now, but he had a small engine plane, and he was in Cambridge, and he tried to talk me into going up in the air with him for a little spin. And it was a perfect day, no clouds, no wind, nothing, sunny. I got near that plane and I couldn't breathe, so I couldn't go through. But I was afraid of heights anyway. And when I went to Germany, well, the tire blew out when we were still sitting on the plane, the second tire. And then they ushered us off in buses. And then we had to sit there until midnight, thinking all the time about having to fly over there and getting on another plane. Wow. And I sat between two old couples. They were more together, but I sat between these two old people, and I thought, I'd be the safest between those two. And every once in a while, I was so tired, I hadn't had any sleep for about 48 hours, and I was so tired that I slept all the way, and then every once in a while when they had a meal coming, because they served us 2 meals, I'd wake up and I'd look outside, and the wings of the plane were frosted, and that, and we're going to crash, and I put my head down and go to sleep. But then we got to Germany all right, but yeah, it was a dread all the time, having to come back. But yeah.
What was life like over there back then? I mean, did you enjoy your experience, or was it just regimented? Or
some of them.
We lived off base. We lived with a German couple.
Yeah.
But
they had mandatory formation at the beer hall. And that gives you an idea what it was like over there. And they'd go out on these, what were they? Bivouacs? What was it called? And they all come back drunk.
What kind of service is that?
There was no work going on, that's for sure.
We,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I drank a lot of beer when I was in Germany. It's good beer. But they, in my company, there was 20 guys came over. We were all married. All their wives came over, and they all had babies over there.
Really?
April cost me $7 for Darlene's stay in the hospital. All it was for her meals. Yeah, just for her meals.
Not bad. So
that story about her flying, though. So this guy was walking along the seashore, and he found this bottle, and he picks it up, opens it up, and Genie pops out, and Genie says, "I'm going to grant you one wish." And the guy thought, he says, "Well, he says, I'd always like to go to Hawaii, but I don't like flying, and I don't like boats. Build me a highway over there so I can drive there." Genie says, "Well, that's just out of my powers. Isn't there anything else?" And the guy thought for a while. "There is one other thing," he says. "Can you tell me how women think?" The Genie says, "Do you want a 2-lane or a 4-lane?"
Isn't that true?
But we went to Rome when we were over there. We went to, or Italy, and went to Rome and seen the. Where did you climb up to where you went up many steps halfway up? That was in the Vatican, was it?
Yeah, we were at the Vatican, but the most impressive thing I remembered being over there was we went one weekend with another couple. I had a little Volkswagen Beetle, and we drove to Amsterdam, and the fields where the tulips were in bloom then. It was unbelievable. Fields just as far as
Miles
you
and
could see,
miles.
just beautiful, different colors of tulips. It was amazing.
And then they had a kind of like a purple blue flower, a small, shorter one, that they made a path all the way through the fields. This purple path of flowers. Really
That was
pretty.
awesome. Oh, yeah,
And we sat up.
We got to see. So we went to France, just across the border into Saarbrücken, and then we went to
Australia
a
too.
few places in Germany and Switzerland and Australia. So it was neat.
And we
I don't
could
remember much about it, but it was neat.
and we could fly over to France, but I wasn't gonna fly.
Well, in your time over there, because with Grandma Johnson's recipes, like the German related, with the sauerkraut and ribs and the fried dumplings.
Yeah.
I've met so many German people and asked, and that does not exist in Germany.
Yeah, you know, now that you mention it, we never had that when we were there.
In Germany, no.
But it was a lot. We ate
Well,
a
with
lot
her
on the.
family, it was. I suppose it was a German dish that they hadn't had.
I'm curious if it was an adaptation when they came to
It
the
probably
U.S.
was.
eventually.
I don't know.
I think so because we never.
Yeah, because
We had French fries with salad dressing.
Yeah. Okay. Because like ours was the only family that I've ever heard of that
It's good, wasn't it?
dish. I make it myself, but
Do you?
Really?
my mom taught me how, and Grandma taught her, so
Yeah.
I make pretty much. The
My
same.
mother wouldn't show me. I asked her what the recipes were and how to measure them. Oh, you just do a little of this and a little of that. I think Ogie stuck close by her side long enough, so she.
Oh, my mom did the same thing. She wouldn't really. She was a little of this, a little of that.
Yeah.
I just had to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
How did she teach you how to make lutefisk?
No, I've never had it actually. Grandma Johnson made lutefisk.
She made it for Grandpa. He liked it, but
Really?
he kept
At
telling
the
me how good it was,
Christmas
year after year. No, it smelled awful, and to me it tasted awful. But year after year, it's funny how things get to you and they get in your mind. And then so I tried him with. He would put the lutefisk, and then he would put white gravy on it, and then salt, and pepper, and it was butter, and it was good.
How did she make it? Or I
Cook it, and I think she used
It's
to
like
use
a you boil it.
a cheesecloth, and she would, I don't know, she'd have that in the pan and put the lutefisk in there and tie it up and then put it in the water and let it boil, then pull it out and let it drain, get all the water off of it. I'm not sure, I never watched her make it. But it was good. But they have a lot of lutefisk, and I imagine they have a lot of lutefisk recipes around that, you could try and see how you like it. But another thing, too, is, did you ever remember having her spinach gravy?
don't.
It looked
actually.
awful, spinach, but it was so good. She would drain it really well and press all the juice out of the spinach, and then she'd chop it really fine, and then she'd make it into a gravy. But Terry might have some of those recipes because, I didn't really like spending a lot of time cooking. So.
Yeah, sure, right. I just, my mom still makes the 3-bean hot dish.
Yeah.
And there's not much else.
Potato salad that
Oh, yeah,
Mom.
potato salad.
Oh yeah.
I was going to try to salvage those recipes myself for my mom. So I think it's important that those
Somebody's
things are
got those
remembered.
recipes, but we don't know who.
Like my mom makes it the
Yeah.
same.
She makes it the same. That's what Terry said too. But yeah, there's and then she'd make white gravy and poor man's gravy, which was the brown gravy. You take it and you put Crisco in, of course, at that time, and then you put some flour in there, and you kind of fried up the flour in the Crisco, and then you start, and you have to watch how much flour you put in, because you could just put in, a certain amount, and then you start adding the milk.
Mm-hmm.
It gets, I wonder if you'd use water, I can't remember. But I think you add the milk, and it would keep getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So you couldn't put a lot of flour in there, because, oh my gosh, you'd end up with big pans. But yeah, that with the brown gravy, she fried the flour in the grease, and then with the white gravy, she didn't. She just kind of got it wet and kind of. But that's all I know.
Not to change the subject. So you were stationed in Germany for those 3 years.
2.
2 years. Then you came back to. You said you worked in mines for a while. I didn't know that.
We came back from Germany too in '71.
Jobs were still a bear, but then the taconite industry was starting to. That's actually is when taconite really started. They developed it, and the mines started to go. And I wanted to get up there, but that was in '71, and so there wasn't jobs. So I went back to just before I went into the service. Bobby and I were working for a temporary agency, and they were doing a huge office move for 3M, and they liked our work, so we got hired permanently, and that's how I got my driver's license, a chauffeur's license.
Oh yeah.
So I had that there, so I went back to moving and driving it because there was always, the summertime especially, was always work for that. But I had buddies that I went to high school when the taconite mines, and actually a cousin that was working construction. So I finally got into construction and worked that for 3 years on the concrete crew, and then I finally got into the mines at U.S. Steel as an apprenticeship program at a millwright.
And that was in where?
Virginia.
Virginia. Oh. And how long did you do that?
For about 4 years. I worked 3 years construction was good. It was steady work. Then we got in, the taconite mine started going, and then it went downhill, and I worked for about, a year and a half, got laid off for 6 months, got called back for 10 weeks, got laid off for 6 months, got called back for 10 weeks, or a little longer than that, maybe 6 months. And then those times I was laid off, I was back working furniture part-time down here. And the guy that used to own this house, he was a furniture mover, and I would work with him. And so then the last time, Darlene says, that's it, or it's been too much. And so we actually moved to New Richmond, Wisconsin, to get one of the guys I was working for. His father-in-law had a house over there, apartment, and we lived over there for 6 months, and then we ended up coming here. This guy, so he was in furniture, but he had a son that was, Champion Auto was just really growing then, and he had a store down in Des Moines, and he was having trouble getting his stuff delivered, so started doing that. I would do that on a Sunday night, take a route down there, do the deliveries, come back, and then I'd work furniture during the week. And then it started growing, and this guy wanted to retire, and so I sort of took it over, and Champion was really growing. Then that's when we started going to Nebraska, and then we went to Colorado, then we went to Wyoming, then we went to Montana. So that went on for like about 15 years. But the original owner of Champion sold to the couple of younger guys, and they ended up going into bankruptcy. We're running it right in the ground, and that's when we closed doors. And
yeah, that must have been quite heartbreaking, I can imagine.
Yeah, the timing in things, we really had some good drivers, some good people working for us, and I bought some newer equipment and that there, and it all hit at the same time. And we didn't go bankrupt, but we really went in the hole. It took us a long time to come out of it. So then I worked 7 years for a company that sort of took over our routes. Some of the stuff was still there. And I delivered auto parts down for General Motors with another guy down to Omaha area. And then they started having some cutting back on pay and that. And this guy that used to do as a tire recycling business, I went to work for him for 4 years. And one of the guys that used to drive for me was doing this cabinets out west, and he didn't like driving winters, and he was starting to have some health issues. He said he thought he had a rotor cuff. So finally got it all set up where I bought a truck and took over his route, and he went in to have the rotor cuff. He was the same age as me. He was full of cancer, lung cancer and bone cancer. In 3 months he was gone. But the Lord, it was just amazing how the Lord really set that up. At that time, my dad was living in Detroit Lakes. Aaron was working in North Dakota. So I could stop and see my dad, could stop and see Aaron, My sisters were in Seattle. It's been a neat process. I've been gone a little bit more than I want to be, but it's been neat. Like now, I'm home here for Christmas, but I'll be out there for New Year's.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, yes, tell him I said hi. I haven't seen Roy in a long, long time.
Yeah, he remembers you.
He sheds hair.
He's really got a sharp mind.
Is he?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. His
Marvel.
two brothers too, their
You know.
memories. And I've been trying to, like the tablet, his hearing is really bad and his eyesight he doesn't read anymore or anything.
There's a towel right there that I lay on my
But he's
back.
continually
If you want
asking
to lay on
questions
the-
about
lay on
why
your
is
back.
this? How did this get started and that there? And I've been doing, so then I'll ask it on my phone, and so I think if I could find the right, a tablet and get him earphones, I think he could actually do that there. Okay? You just sit there and ask questions to the computer,
It's real
Yeah.
easy too. See.
Absolutely. I mean,
There's so
Tell her
much
to lay
information
down.
is just there at snap of a finger. And
yeah. That's fantastic. I mean, yeah. I'm glad he's doing well. And so this story you just told, like, how old were you? At least, like, how old were you guys when you were in Germany? How old were you when you?
Well, 71.
it was 19.
In Germany? Wow, that's very young to be in.
So I was what? I was in my 30s.
27.
So yeah.
Time flies. 46 years we've been married.
Yeah.
I'm 73 in case you figured it out.
How old is Bob?
75.
Yeah.
September he just turned 75. That's pretty good.
And Richard was 74. Did you ever meet Richard? I think he died before
Just
you
once when I was an infant.
were. Yeah.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I
Not
remember you were
74,
really-
84.
What?
What did you say about Richard?
I didn't say when he passed away. I
Oh, I
said
thought you
80.
said
He was. I mean, yeah.
He would have been 80,
No,
74, is that what you meant?
No. Yeah, he would have been 70. I am 73. He would have been 74. Bob is 75.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, Richard passed away when he was 84, in 84, and then Grandpa was in
3 years
87,
later,
and then
yeah.
Grandma was in 90.
3
They were
years
3 years
later.
apart each.
Three. Yeah.
I remember when Grandma passed away. I remember her funeral. Grandpa, I remember him, but I don't remember the funeral. I don't remember much about him.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, Taylor, even Darren, I don't Danny Darren. I don't think they remember him at all.
Yeah. She likes you to go up her tail.
I think it's so important that these stories are preserved.
Didn't you say something about Carl that when he was over there that he won some kind of medal or something? Was it you that was telling me or somebody else?
It might have been me. I have the documents somewhere. But,
Yeah. Oh, somebody. That's right.
That's neat now, too. It's
It was
easy to
when we
keep them
were-
because you can store them on a computer. And
yeah.
It was when we were at the family reunion. They had found, one of them had found it was Brian, had found some information on Carl when he was in the military.
yeah,
and that he
yeah.
had,
I was wondering if that's what you were talking about.
yeah, and then he had done something, he got a medal, I'm not sure what kind of a medal, but he had done something pretty good. Just not a big, huge thing, but yeah. But yeah, look at, she's staying on the map.
That's surprising.
There
Yeah,
was
she doesn't usually.
at the reunion,
But she
someone.
knows that she's good with animals, I can tell.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
At the reunion, someone showed my dad a photo. And it's quite old, but it was a photo from the homestead, and it was Emil Johnson and his wife. Bob was in it, but he was maybe 6 months old.
Oh,
It
really?
was several of John Henry, Carl, all their siblings.
Okay, I think Grandma was it in front of a log cabin?
Yeah, it was.
No, Grandma wasn't in it. It was
Oh, she wasn't.
it was Grandpa and it was the kids, and it was from Chester all the way down
Chester.
to Howard. I think was the youngest one. Yeah,
Who
and
was-
it
Who was the woman in the photo then?
it
She
was one of the sisters. It was
sisters.
it was maybe Agnes probably was the older sister, and then Grace, Maria, what is it? That was all three. They just had three sisters, didn't they?
And it would have
Agnes,
been.
Grace, and Marie.
But there was an infant in the photo.
Yeah, or probably John Henry or.
Oh, there's probably was Bobby.
Howard.
Bobby was there.
No, they were just young. They were not real.
Oh, yeah, it was your dad when he was young.
yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been the younger was probably Carl then.
No,
Was
and I
it?
thought it was John Henry or Howard.
Who was
They
the
were
youngest? Oh, Howard was the youngest. Huh?
Yeah, he was not youngest.
Well, how old was your dad, Bud, Grandpa, whatever, when he started having children? He must have been very young, I thought.
Okay. let me
Started?
see. Mom got no marbles. Get your nose out there. Mom was 16 when 17, I think. Got
You
married,
guys want a
16 or
water?
17.
Oh, no.
16 or 17. Well, you want to wipe that off with something you don't want to drink?
She's got a dog.
Yeah, 16, I think she was 16 when they got married, to 17. Dad was in the Caesar camps, or Grandpa was,
And he was.
and 3 years older than her. So he was 21?
Mhm.
So that's when they got married.
My dad and mom were 17 and 15.
When they got married. Who was older?
My dad.
15. Wow.
We started a new trend. I was 7 years older than
Yeah.
him. Was not popular when we got
Yeah,
married. It
I
was
bet-
not popular.
I bet that was very uncommon back then, I can imagine.
Yes, it was very
Because they're
uncommon.
revolutionaries.
And now it's so common now. Who cares? But yeah. So yeah, my dad recorded my mom. He met her and he really liked her, and he was writing his sister Grace letters about mom and that. And
Oh, yeah.
we just found out about that last year or 2 or 3. I can't remember when they showed up at. Well, we heard some stories. You know, you hear them here and there and that. But yeah.
Wow.
And 9 boys and 2 girls. But she had a child die when he was 3 months old.
Mhm.
Is David Roger, and he was born in 43 and died in 43. Douglas was born and died 44. Douglas was born in 44, but it was like a ladder all the way down. My brother was born in. Bob was born in 39, Richard 40, and I was born in 41, and then David 43, and Douglas 44. Stephen, I think 45. Ken was 45. Stephen 46. So
Yeah, I've got all the records, actually,
Okay.
and
All right.
sheets and stuff
Yeah.
from Joanne,
yeah,
and stuff I've collected on my own. But
you know she lives in Rogers. Do you know that?
Albertville.
yeah, we're near
Albertville.
near Albertville.
Well, isn't that
Where's-
Rogers?
Well, they're right together, like
Okay. Yeah.
Coon Rapids and Blaine.
We're going to see them tomorrow, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm really
She's
excited.
was quite a nice person.
So who is she now?
Ruth was mom's cousin.
And that's where you came and stayed with her
Yeah,
when
when I
you
came
came
to the cities, I went and stayed with them for a while. They were very,
But so that's
very
Ruth's
nice
daughter?
family.
Ruth's daughter?
Ruth's daughter, yeah. What a nice